Everything is about to explode in The Summer I Turned Pretty, Season 3, Episode 7. The closeness between Belly and Conrad has already shaken the entire story, but now it seems Jeremiah is about to face the one thing he's been afraid of all along, that Belly's heart was never fully his. The trailer hints at heartbreak, jealousy, and a shocking confrontation that could change everything at Cousins forever. But the biggest question is, will Jeremiah finally break up with Belly? Or will Conrad's silent love confession be the spark that pulls her back to him? The last episode left us with one of the most emotional cliffhangers of the entire season. Belly and Conrad's closeness was impossible to ignore, and no matter how hard Belly tries to move on, it's written all over her face that Conrad still holds a place in her heart. This moment didn't just shock the audience, it completely shifted the balance of every relationship in the show. From the very beginning of this season, the tension has been building between the Fisher brothers, and Belly has been caught in the middle of it, pretending she can separate her past with Conrad from her future with Jeremiah. But Episode 7 will show us what happens when all that pretending finally collapses. Belly's silence at the end of Episode 6 wasn't just awkward, it was telling. The way she looked at Conrad, the hesitation in her body language, it all screamed confusion, regret, and longing. Jeremiah may not have said much, but he saw it too, and that is where the cracks begin to form. Jeremiah has always tried to be the safe choice, the one who could give Belly stability and a love free of pain. But deep down, he's been living with the shadow of Conrad in every single part of his relationship. Whether it's the restaurant his father prefers, the stories about Rosie the pet, or even Laurel's softer approach toward Conrad, Jeremiah has been reminded again and again that Belly's past with Conrad isn't something he can erase. In Episode 6, we already saw how easily jealousy crept in, even when Jeremiah tried to brush it off. His subtle reactions, the way he looked uncomfortable when Conrad's name came up, and his forced smiles all painted the picture of someone who is holding in more than he can handle. And Episode 7 is where all those bottled emotions finally break free. The trailer's hints suggest that Jeremiah won't be able to keep playing the role of the patient fiancé anymore. Instead, we'll see the side of him that has always feared the truth, that Belly still loves Conrad. But here's where the suspense takes over. Belly herself doesn't even know what she truly wants. One moment, she's building a future with Jeremiah, choosing houses, planning her wedding, and trying to create the life she thinks she's supposed to want. And the next, she's pulled back into memories with Conrad, feelings she thought she buried but never really did. This is what makes the storyline so heartbreaking and thrilling at the same time. Belly isn't trying to hurt Jeremiah, but her heart isn't completely his either. In Episode 7, we're going to see this play out in the most painful way possible. Imagine Jeremiah watching her drift away, piece by piece, and realizing that no matter what he does, Belly's mind and heart wander back to the one person he can't compete with, his own brother. Laurel's role in all this shouldn't be underestimated either. She has always seen Belly's connection with Conrad, and while she wants her daughter to be happy, it's clear she questions whether marrying Jeremiah is really the right choice. Her bond with Conrad, the way she can talk to him calmly when even Belly can't, sets the stage for more complications. If Jeremiah starts to feel like even Laurel is secretly rooting for Conrad, his jealousy won't just be about Belly anymore. It will be about the entire family dynamic. And let's not forget Taylor. She knows everything, she hears everything, and in Episode 7, she could be the one who pushes Belly to face the truth. Taylor's own heartbreak makes her more empathetic this season, and instead of telling Belly to stop being silly, she might finally admit that Belly still loves Conrad and encourage her to act on it. This would be the final spark that Jeremiah has been dreading. The tension is building to the point where Jeremiah has no choice but to confront it. He may start asking questions that Belly doesn't want to answer. Questions like, do you still love Conrad? Or worse, are you marrying me because you love me or because you're afraid to lose me? These aren't just dramatic lines, they are the breaking point of a relationship that has been cracking from the start. And in true Summer I Turned Pretty fashion, the fallout will be messy, emotional, and unforgettable. Episode 7 will not just be about Belly and Conrad getting closer, it will be about Jeremiah finally realizing that his biggest fear might be true. And if that fear is true, it won't just be Belly's wedding plans that fall apart. It will be the bond between the Fisher brothers, the trust in their family, and the fragile future that Cousins Beach has tried to hold on to. As episode 7 begins to unfold, the weight of Belly's choices becomes impossible to ignore. She has tried so hard to convince herself that Jeremiah is the right path forward, the one who can offer her a love untouched by the pain and heartbreak she experienced with Conrad. Yet, no matter how deeply she dives into planning this wedding, every step seems to circle back to Conrad. That final look they shared in episode 6 wasn't just an accident, it was a silent confession. It was Conrad saying, without words, that his love for her hasn't disappeared, and Belly, no matter how much she tries to bury it, responding with the same truth. The problem is, Jeremiah isn't blind anymore. He sees it, he feels it, and even if Belly doesn't admit it out loud, Jeremiah knows the distance between them is growing. And once suspicion sets in, it changes everything. The smallest glance, the most innocent pause in conversation, or even the way Belly's voice softens when Conrad's name comes up, it all turns into proof in Jeremiah's eyes. What makes this tension so heartbreaking is that Jeremiah isn't just fighting Conrad, he's fighting time itself. Every moment he spends with Belly, he's wondering if she's comparing him to his brother, if she's replaying those nights at Cousins in her head, or if she's secretly wishing she had chosen differently. His jealousy isn't coming from a place of anger, but from fear. Fear that he has always been second in Belly's heart. Fear that the love story she truly wanted wasn't with him, but with the brother he has grown up competing against in every part of his life. This is the kind of fear that doesn't fade. It only grows until it breaks something inside. And in episode 7, that breaking point feels inevitable. The trailer suggests Jeremiah might finally let those words spill out, and when he does, it won't just wound Belly, it will expose the truth she's been trying to hide from herself. Meanwhile, Conrad's silence is becoming its own form of pressure. He has always carried the burden of protecting Belly's happiness, even at the cost of his own. That's why he walked away before, why he let Jeremiah take the lead, why he hid his emotions behind that guarded, careful exterior. But now, after everything they've been through, he can't hide anymore. His moment with Belly in episode 6 cracked the wall he built around his heart, and for the first time in a long time, he looked at her as if he couldn't hold it in much longer. If Jeremiah's confrontation forces Belly to finally speak the truth, Conrad will no longer have the option of staying silent. And this is where the heartbreak deepens, because Conrad's confession won't just change Belly's future. It could destroy his relationship with his brother forever. The beauty and the tragedy of The Summer I Turned Pretty has always been this tangled love triangle. It's not just about who Belly loves, it's about what her love does to the Fisher brothers. Jeremiah, who wants to be enough, who wants to believe that being the one who stayed will finally matter. Conrad, who believes that sacrificing himself is the only way to protect the people he loves, even if it means living with pain. And Belly, who is torn between comfort and passion, safety and longing, present and past. Episode 7 is the collision point of all three of their journeys, where none of them can keep pretending anymore. Jeremiah can't keep smiling through the jealousy, Conrad can't keep hiding behind silence, and Belly can't keep running from the truth. Something has to give, and when it does, hearts will break. But the question is, whose heart will break the most? Jeremiah's when he realizes he was never fully chosen? Conrad's when he sees that Belly is still walking down the aisle to his brother? Or Belly's when she finally admits that the love she feels doesn't line up with the promises she made? No matter which way it happens, the fallout will be devastating. The trailer's tone makes it clear that this isn't going to be a quiet episode, it's going to be explosive. Conversations that have been avoided for too long will finally happen, and feelings that have been buried under layers of silence will rise to the surface. Every look, every word, every pause will matter. And then there's the family. Laurel, who has always been the quiet observer, might become the voice of truth in this storm. She knows her daughter better than anyone, and she knows when Belly is lying to herself. Her support for the wedding is fragile, built more on wanting Belly to feel loved than truly believing it's the right path. If Jeremiah notices Laurel siding with Conrad, even in the smallest ways, his jealousy will transform into anger. And Taylor, who has been Belly's closest confidant, might be the one to push Belly past her breaking point. Her own pain with Stephen has made her raw, vulnerable, and more honest than ever. If she tells Belly that she still loves Conrad, Belly won't be able to ignore it anymore. It will force her to stop hiding, to stop pretending, and to finally face the truth that has been haunting her since the first summer. This is why episode 7 is being set up as one of the most emotional episodes of the season. It's not just about a love triangle, it's about the collapse of everything Belly has been trying to build: the wedding plans, the dream of stability, the hope that she could rewrite her story with Jeremiah. All of it is crumbling under the weight of her unresolved feelings for Conrad. And the most suspenseful part is knowing that Jeremiah can feel it, Conrad can feel it, and now, finally, Belly can feel it too. The storm has been brewing for weeks, but episode 7 is where it finally hits, and nothing will ever be the same again. The breaking point for Jeremiah feels closer than ever, and episode 7 is where all of his fears will likely spill out in ways he can't control anymore. Up until now, Jeremiah has tried so hard to hold it together, to smile through the pain, and to convince himself that Belly's heart belongs to him. But jealousy is like a poison. It seeps in slowly, clouding every thought, twisting every moment until nothing feels safe. And Jeremiah is no longer in a place where he can ignore it. The way Belly looks at Conrad, the way she hesitates when Conrad's name comes up, even the way she accidentally mixes them up, it all feels like daggers to Jeremiah's heart. In episode 7, we'll finally see him confront this, and when he does, it won't just be a quiet moment between him and Belly. It will be the eruption of years of hidden insecurities and unspoken rivalries. Jeremiah's jealousy has always been rooted in more than just love. It's tied to the years of growing up in Conrad's shadow, of watching his older brother be the one everyone admired, the one everyone trusted, the one Belly loved first. Choosing Jeremiah was supposed to be the moment that proved he wasn't second best, that he could finally be enough. But deep down, Jeremiah has always been waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the moment Belly's heart betrays her promises. And in episode 7, that fear turns into reality. Whether it's a look, a slip of the tongue, or an honest confession, Jeremiah will finally realize that he can't keep fighting for someone who might still belong to someone else. And when that realization hits, his heartbreak will turn into anger. Not the explosive kind that lashes out, but the kind that cuts deep, asking the painful questions Belly doesn't want to answer. Do you still love him? Am I just the safe choice? Was I always your second option? These questions don't just wound Belly, they expose the cracks she's been trying to cover up with wedding plans and forced smiles. For Belly, this confrontation will feel like being torn apart from the inside. She doesn't want to hurt Jeremiah, and she doesn't want to admit that the feelings she thought she buried for Conrad are still there. But denying it won't work anymore. Her silence, her hesitation, her distracted thoughts, Jeremiah sees it all. And the more she tries to hide it, the clearer it becomes that Conrad is still a part of her. The heartbreak of episode 7 is going to come from Belly's realization that she can't keep moving forward with Jeremiah while a piece of her heart still belongs to his brother. And the truth is, she never stopped loving Conrad. She just tried to convince herself she could. That's the tragedy of Belly's story. She wants so badly to do the right thing, to choose stability, to choose the future that seems safer. But love doesn't follow logic, and every time she's near Conrad, she's reminded of that fact. Meanwhile, Conrad himself is caught in a storm of emotions. He has carried his feelings for Belly in silence for so long, convincing himself that stepping aside was the noble choice. But watching her plan a wedding with Jeremiah has been tearing him apart, and episode 6 already proved that his walls are crumbling. The way he looked at Belly, the way he lingered just long enough to show he still cared, it wasn't accidental. It was Conrad breaking, just a little. and episode 7 will likely push him to a point where he can't stay silent anymore. The trailer hints at a conversation between Conrad and Taylor, and if Taylor tells him what she saw, if she admits that Belly isn't indifferent to him either, that might be all it takes to push Conrad into action. For the first time in years, he might confess his feelings out loud. But here's the heartbreaking twist. His confession might come too late. If Jeremiah has already confronted Belly, if their engagement is already falling apart, then Conrad's words won't just be about love. They'll be the spark that destroys the Fisher brothers' bond. And that's what makes this storyline so devastating. Jeremiah and Conrad aren't just love rivals, they're brothers. They've shared their entire lives, their memories, their pain. But now, because of Belly, they're standing on opposite sides of a war neither of them wanted to fight. Jeremiah feels betrayed, Conrad feels guilty, and Belly feels torn in two. Episode 7 is shaping up to be the moment where all of these emotions collide, and the fallout will be impossible to repair. Whether Jeremiah breaks up with Belly, whether Conrad confesses his love, or whether Belly finally admits the truth to herself, the damage will be done. And once it's done, there's no going back. The innocence of Cousins Beach, the idea that love could be simple and safe, will be shattered forever. But what makes this even more suspenseful is the uncertainty of how Belly will respond. If Jeremiah demands answers, will she admit her feelings for Conrad? Or will she deny them, clinging to the hope that her future with Jeremiah can still work? And if Conrad finally confesses, will she run to him, or will she push him away again out of fear of breaking Jeremiah's heart? These are the questions that will keep viewers on the edge of their seats, because no matter what Belly chooses, someone is going to end up broken. And the worst part is, the audience knows the truth before the characters do. We've seen the looks, we've felt the tension, we've watched the hesitation. Belly's heart belongs to Conrad, whether she admits it or not. And that's the truth Jeremiah is about to face, whether he's ready or not. But if you thought the heartbreak ended with Jeremiah's decision, you are wrong. Because episode 7 sets the stage for something even more shocking. The fragile bond between Belly and Conrad is tested in a way that neither of them saw coming. For so long, Conrad has been the boy who hides his feelings, the one who pushes everyone away when his emotions become too heavy. But now, after Jeremiah's breakup, he finally finds himself at a crossroads. Will he stay silent and let Belly walk away forever? Or will he confess the truth that has been buried deep inside him for years? The trailer teases a powerful moment where Conrad cannot keep it in anymore, where his voice shakes and his walls come crashing down. For the first time, we might see Conrad say what fans have been waiting to hear, that he never stopped loving Belly. But if that moment comes, it will not be simple, and it will not be clean, because every word will carry the weight of guilt, regret, and the scars of choices that have already broken them. And just when you think this might finally be their chance at love, there's a cruel twist. Belly is not the same girl she was when this love triangle began. She has been hurt, she has been torn between two brothers, and she has lost so much. To let Conrad back in would mean opening herself to the same heartbreak again. And that's the danger. Episode 7 forces Belly to look at her past choices and decide if love is worth the pain. The tension in this episode is not just about romance, it's about survival of the heart. Because no matter what she chooses, someone is going to be destroyed. The closer Belly gets to Conrad, the more Jeremiah will feel betrayed, the more broken the family will become. And at the center of it all, the memory of Susanna lingers like a ghost, reminding them that love is fragile and time is short. But here's where the suspense cuts even deeper. The trailer hints at Conrad's confession, but it doesn't tell us how Belly responds. Does she run to him? Does she cry? Or does she turn away? That silence is the most painful part. Because the story of The Summer I Turned Pretty has always been about more than who Belly chooses. It's about how love can both heal and destroy, about how one summer can change everything. And episode 7, more than any other, captures that moment of standing at the edge of love and deciding whether to jump or to walk away. Belly's story is reaching the point of no return, and in The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3, Episode 7, the emotions are more explosive than ever. Every character is making choices that can't be undone, and every truth revealed is cutting deeper than the lies that came before. Jere's breakup is not just a simple end to a teenage romance. It's a breaking point that shatters the balance between everyone involved. Because once Jere steps away, the old dynamics collapse, and the space between Belly and Conrad begins to close in ways no one was ready for. The house, once filled with summer joy, now feels like a battlefield where silence speaks louder than words, and stolen glances feel like daggers to the heart. The weight of 3 summers finally crashes down, and the fallout is nothing short of devastating. This episode doesn't just tease us with heartbreak, it forces every character to stare at the truth. Belly cannot hide behind confusion anymore, because her choices are about to define not just her summer, but her entire future. Conrad, after years of holding back, finally finds his voice. But does it come too late? His confession could change everything, but it could also destroy what little is left of their fragile trust. Jere, walking away, may believe he's protecting himself, but his decision only deepens the cracks in this love triangle that was always destined to break. What we're left with is a storm of regret, longing, and the kind of love that burns so painfully it consumes everything in its path. Season 3, Episode 7 pushes the story into territory that fans have been waiting for but dreading at the same time. It's the moment where past summers can no longer protect them, and childhood innocence is finally gone. The belly-flipping romances of yesterday have become the life-altering choices of today. Every whispered word, every shared look, every goodbye, each carries the weight of something final. This isn't just another episode, it's the unraveling of everything the series has built up to, and the heartbreak will stay long after the credits roll. Because in the end, The Summer I Turned Pretty was never about just who Belly would choose. It was about what love costs, what it saves, and what it destroys. Episode 7 reminds us that even the sweetest summers have to end, and sometimes love doesn't just turn pretty. It turns painful, unforgettable, and permanent.